Yo, I'm back. I'm back. It's part 2 of the tier list. We're doing the green items now. Yeah. You know, we did the color of whites, and now we gotta segregate them from the greens by each different part. I'm joking, of course. But yeah, segregation. Everybody loves it. So, anyways, getting on to the video. We're gonna be doing green items now. And we start with my beloved ATG missile. I think this is the best proc gun. It's one of the best ones. I think it goes solidly in S tier. You fire a missile, it does 300% more damage, which is pretty strong and fuck shit up when it does proc. Yeah. It also, the missile itself is a proc coefficient of 1, so it can chain one proc item to another and then to another. You proc it into an ATG, then to ukulele, then it could be like a mold perforator. Pretty cool. Pretty good item. I love ATG. Huge fan. The only thing that sucks about it is that missiles are kind of stupid in this game, and they miss shit sometimes. It's usually ground enemies. They'll have a hard time tracking them. If it's a boss, they'll definitely hit them most of the time. Actually, pretty much all the time. But if it's like a beetle or something, it's probably gonna miss it. Which is pretty funny. Anyways, next up, Will-O-Wisp. Also S tier. Pretty good AoE item. It's not as good as Gasoline, but it is pretty strong. It can kill things a lot easier than Gasoline, but has a lot less radius, making it a little bit worse. But I still think it's a pretty good AoE item. And when you get like 3 or more stacks of it, it really pops off. And if you got that big old FMP build, it's even better. So, easy S tier. I love this item. Definitely sitting up there with the big boys. Hopoo Feather. Now, hot take, I think this is the best item in the game. It gives you an extra jump, and an extra jump goes a long way for the survivor. First and foremost, as you would know, Engineer and Captain, and a lot of other survivors have a consistent way of removing fall damage, which is really helpful. Also, a Hopoo Feather allows you to jump in the air. A lot of enemies in the game attack on the ground, so ignoring a lot of that, including like Mithrix, is really good too. Mithrix, like 90% of his attacks are like on the ground. He only can hit you like his doors attack and his needles when you're in the air. Everything else, you just ignore. It's amazing. Easy S tier. Next up, Ukulele. I'd definitely put it in A tier. Now, I wouldn't put it in S tier, but there's a thing called Poly that exists, so, I mean, it's a little bit worse because there's a better item than it. But still, a really amazing AoE item. It does 60% of your total damage when you hit something, and it carries on to another enemy. Pretty good. Really good with characters that proc fast or have a lot of AoE. Just every character benefits from this item. And hordes, pretty cool. Oh, Leeching Seed. This item is pretty disappointing if I had to say so myself. So Leeching Seed is a little bit wrong as it describes itself in game. Upon a hit, it heals you for 1 HP. Now that's actually wrong. It's based on your proc coefficient of your character. So with Commando, it'll heal you for 1 HP. But for someone like Multis, like Noga, which is like 0.5 per hit, it'll heal you 0.5 per everything. Per like attack, which makes sense, you know? Bandit's 0.5 with his blast attack, 0.1 in his no, it's burst that's 0.5, blast is 0.1. Or no, not 0.1. But yeah. Which makes it a little bit worse. And this item doesn't do it enough to really justify using it. Like 1 per hit isn't very good. And Risk of Rain 1, this heals even better actually. It heals 2. It's actually good in that game. Like it saved my ass. It's never saved my ass once in Risk of Rain 1. Or sorry, Risk of Rain 2. It saved my ass in Risk of Rain 1. It's actually good in that game. In this game though, not that good. Definite D tier. I guess you can make it work, but it's not really worth it. Especially when you have this item, which takes even less setup to make it good. You need one item, one green item, and a bunch of white items, and it already heals you more. This heals you 1 per hit. This thing needs to be buffed to 2. That's my only take on it. Not that good of an item. Predatory. It probably goes around... I'd say A tier. I put a lower end A. It gives 5% crit damage, and every time you crit, increases your attack speed. Pretty good. Red Whip, probably C tier. I'd probably put it like middle of the pack. It is nice when you're running away from enemies, but a lot of characters, since they attack with like their utility skills, which you also use to get away from enemies, it removes the buff of it, which makes it, I probably put lower, which also makes it not as good. So I don't think it's that good. It can be useful in some characters though. So for those ones that are good with it, kudos to you. For characters like Loader and Merc, they're trying to like run away from enemies. Like if you're in a sticky situation, not that great. So definite C tier. Aldor Stealth Kit. I think this item isn't that great. So at low health, it turns you invisible. It's better on your turrets, which actually makes it C tier. Engineer makes all like the crappy items, this and this good. I just realized. It makes your turrets invisible. If you're using the moving turrets, the ones that run around, it actually benefits them a lot because the enemies are like, oh shit, where do they go? Yeah. For the player itself, it only really benefits like a very few amount of enemies. Like a Siphistone Titan seeing you low HP, it'll stop targeting you. But like most other enemies, since they're already gonna attack in that spot anyways, it doesn't really help you. So if you're gonna die in that spot, you're gonna die there regardless. It only really helps you benefit from a very niche amount of enemies. So, not really the greatest. Next up, Harvester's Scythe. This item's honestly pretty decent. I think I'd put it in B tier. If you have a lot of crit, it actually heals a decent amount. But you need a lot of crit to make it work. And it heals 8, which is pretty good. And it stacks way better than Leeching Seed. It heals 4 per stack. 4 HP per stack. This is 1. This is superior in every way to it. Shows how bad a Leeching Seed is. But anyways, continuing on. Although it's not as consistent, it still heals more. And crit's a lot easier to get than this shit. But yeah, for characters that do benefit a lot from crit, like Commando, or actually every character benefits crit, but the characters that shoot fast, like Commando, Huntress, all those funny ones, Multi-Captain, you're going to benefit a lot more for this. If you're playing like Acrid, Railgunner, Loader, you're not going to benefit from this as much. It's really not going to help you. It just gives you 5% crit damage. You're going to heal like, I don't know, every like 5 seconds from it. Yeah. Also, side note, speaking of Leeching Seed, my friend for some reason thinks it's really good on Acrid. I don't know why. So they think when you like poison an enemy, they think every tick of the poison heals you for some reason. I don't know why. They've never looked at their character more closely, but for some reason they think that, and I've told them that it's wrong, but they won't listen to me. I'm like, have you looked at your character after you use poison on them? But I don't know, they're kind of blind, so I guess that's why. Anyways, continuing on. Fuel Cell, probably B tier too. It's nice when you have a good equipment, but most of the time you don't really need it, because you're not really relying on your equipment too much, right? Unless if you're, I don't know, you're like a Spinal Tonic nerd, and I guess it's kind of helpful. But most of the time, unless you're running like FMP, but if you're running FMP, you just want a Soulbound Callus. But I guess if you don't have one, you kind of have to rely on it. But, you know, it's not really that great. It's good for some equipments, especially like Disposable Abyssal Launcher and like with ICBM or like Royal Capacitor or Recycler for like more uses on the stage. But aside from that, not the greatest. And also a lot of other good equipments don't even benefit from this, like Crowdfunder and Card and Gun. Like, you don't care about this. Like, you already got a good equipment, you don't care. But I mean, those ones are kind of temporary, but yeah. Yeah, anyways. Infusion. I put Infusion in C tier. It's probably the best. It's pretty good for like HP. If you want to increase your HP, it's not bad. It's decent early in big game that you run. Late game, it's not as good, obviously, because everything's going to do more damage than how much health you have. But for the most part, pretty good. Sorry, not pretty good, pretty average. Speaking of average, we'll also put Bandolier here. Bandelier's good on those characters with really long cooldowns, like Captain and Engineer. But a lot of other characters, it's just kind of it's okay. Commando doesn't benefit from it much. Like Huntress, I guess, Greasy Ballista, that's kind of cool. It's very niche and just overall average in the cast, but actually I wouldn't really call it, it's just average, yeah. But for those characters, benefits, kudos to them. It's kind of cool. Berserkers also goes in C tier. You need to get like a bunch of kills for it to proc off. It's better in single player than it is multiplayer because your friends aren't stealing your kills. But when you do proc off, it gives attack speed and movement speed. Not bad, but nothing too amazing. It can't help if you're like playing attack speed survivor. The movement speed is okay. It's very temporary, but benefits you more than some other green items that give movement speed, so. But I guess it goes above Red Whip. There you go. Actually, no, Red Whip's more consistent. I'd put this lower. But yeah. Next up, Big Old Rose Buckler. I put in B. Actually, I put it beside this. So when you sprint, you gain 20 armor. Which, if you're running away, it actually saves you pretty decently. And it's pretty good against those annoying, pesky Clay Templars and Luster Wisps. So, yeah. I normally like to pick up 1 or 2 of these in a run. No more I really need, unless if I guess I'm looping, but even then, they do too much damage. Really getting your first loop in the run, so. Yeah, poggers to it, I guess. Both bands, you already know they're going in S tier. Yeah. I think they're a little bit better than ATG, because they're more consistent. Every character in the game has a consistent way to proc them now. And especially Shuriken, Commando's even more consistent. You don't have to rely on Grenade as much. Because Grenade doesn't hit flying enemies very well. So, yeah. Pretty powers. I don't really explain why bands are good to you. Everybody knows these are S tier bad boys. But yeah, I think I have a little bit too many S tier. I'll probably move Mocha down a tier, and I don't want to move Will-O-Wisp down. I might later on, but Mocha, I'm comfortable moving to A. Doesn't give as much movement speed. Corona Bubble, easy C tier, but it goes top of C tier for having the 2 niches. It's always proc, so it's good for Death Mark, and it slows down Mithrix. That's all it gets. So, yeah. It's not really useful outside of that. I guess you can slow down some enemies, but most enemies just shoot a projectile in this game, so it's not really that good. I guess you're going to slow down that Gup like 20 feet away from you by 15%. So you get there like 1 second later than normal, allowing you to escape some stupidly hyper niche scenario. But it's not that good. Definitely C tier though, because it does have enough niches. If it didn't slow down Mithrix and Deathmark didn't exist, it'd probably be F tier. Let's be real. Wax Quill. Yeah, I gotta put it up here. A mobility item, yeah, it goes up here. Picking up more than 1 can be a bit awkward, depending on the survivor though, because you move a little bit too far. It is kind of funny with multiple stacks though, but usually more than 1 can sometimes be a hindrance and fuck up your movement. But having just 1 is ideal and can make a lot of difference. It also helps you skip pillars with headsets, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, Guillotine. Guillotine's probably one of my favorite green items, but I think it overall averages to a B. It's super useful late game, but on your first loop, it's just kind of okay. Now, if you're someone like me, it actually benefits you more probably than you. You're playing 5 minutes per stage. I'm playing 50 minutes per stage, so there's a lot more elite enemies spawning. But that Guillotine, I killed them like 13% earlier, so it's more useful in that first loop for me. But even then, not the greatest. I'd rather have a lot of other green items over than it, unless I'm looping. So yeah, I'd probably throw these in C tier now that I think about it. I'm gonna throw them both down here. Actually, I'm gonna put Chronoball down here. It really is only useful like 2 things, but it's kind of good sometimes. You know what? Yeah, I think it's better. And should we move him down to an A tier? I'll move Predatory down a tier. I don't really want to move these though. I think Predatory is fine to be top of B though. Warhorn. Big old. Hey! Get out of here. Warhorn. When you use your equipment, gives you a burst of attack speed. It's actually quite a lot of attack speed, so I'm gonna put in B tier for that. They use like 70% or something. Really it works good with some equipments. Obviously, if you have capacitor or like missile launcher, it's gonna give you a big boy attack speed. It's actually the best with capacitor because there's a 20-second cooldown. And if you're playing commando, you're gonna be nutting. So, yeah, not bad. Left and Daisy, you already know it's going in F tier. Too inconsistent to be useful. It's definitely the worst green item in the game. I don't think anybody else thinks that. That's not the worst. So yeah, you already know why this is bad. It heals you once per teleport. It can be okay, but it's too inconsistent to be reliable. Like you're not gonna really very be often. Low HP at 48% of the teleport, then Left and Daisy will save you. Now this item is a little bit better since it works in every holdout zone, not just teleporter. And like Simulacrum works once per wave, not bad. Sometimes it triggers way too early like those, so yeah. Triggers during pillars and the void fields, so this is kind of cool. Anyways, overall F tier. Razor Wire. I like Razor Wire, but it's overall C tier. You don't want to get hit very often. But if you have Inji turns, pretty good. This thing doesn't have a very high proc rate either, so when you do retaliate back, it's not going to do much most of the time. It does like 0.2 proc rate, I'm pretty sure. It has a 0.2 proc rate, I meant to say. It's not really that great. But it can save you sometimes. It's not bad early game if you're playing like a melee set, right, and you hate wisps. Like I'm playing Mercenary, I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool. Or Acrid. If I'm playing melee Acrid, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah. Definitely C tier. Sammy Gore's Tome going in C tier again. A lot of green items going in C tier. God damn. This thing's useful until after stage 4. It gives you extra money. Kill. But as someone who sits like 12 minutes per stage or some shit, I don't know. You guys are probably gonna like be like, you play at 12 minutes per stage? Yeah, I do. Suck it up, Buttercup. Yeah. It's not that great. I guess I buy things faster, but I'm gonna kill every monster on the stage and farm money anyways, so I personally don't care about it, but I think it's overall C tier. It's good for farming the legendary chest, that's all it gets. But since I'm an unlucky fuck and I get Siren's Call 90% of the time, not that great. I don't want to get Siren's Call, by the way. Please stop giving me it. Squid pull up. Yeah, D tier. Top at D. Actually, I put Bungus over it. You already know Squid pull-up isn't that great. But the fact that it pushes away enemies now makes it a little bit better. You can still get voided, but it does push them away. So, I mean, it doesn't happen that often, but when it does happen, it's going to hit you, and you're not going to like it. But, yeah. Overall, not bad. But not great either. Kafnir does buff it by a bit, but even then, it's still not that great. Stacking it increases the attack speed, I believe. But, yeah. I don't know how else they would buff this. I don't think it's even that terrible. It's just more in the niche item tier, which is D. So yeah, it can save you once in a while. So yeah, just whatever. Deathmark. Deathmark is the potential to be one of the strongest items in the game, but you need 4 debuffs to proc it. And it's pretty balanced with that, because a 50% damage increase is pretty powerful. So yeah, but when you do proc it, it gets going, it's S tier. By itself, it's not. I don't know, I was talking to one of my friends the other day. He was telling me that 4 debuffs and 8 stacks should be able to proc Deathmark 50% damage. I told him, that is like the worst balancing I've ever heard in my life. But he legit thinks is a good way to balance it. So, what's your thoughts on that, fellas? Is that a good way to balance Deathmark or not? I don't know. I think it's a terrible way and make the game way too easy. But I mean, this is the guy who spawns in a million lunar coins, so I don't know. I don't really trust him. Next up, shipping requests from. I'd probably C tier. Gives you mostly just random white item. It's okay. It can be sometimes be good. Not really anything special. Hunter's Harpoon. No, I don't think this sounds very good either. I'm gonna put top of D tier though. The problem for Hunter's Harpoon is that it lasts 1 second on kill. It doesn't last long enough to make it justifiable to be useful, in my opinion. If it had more pickup speed, maybe it was like 3 seconds, and then you like stack 2 on pickup, it'd be way better. And it'd be good with FMP too. I think 1 second, 0.5 per stack makes it way too bad. And then, like that 1 second, when you get like multiple stacks of it, it literally lasts 1 second. It doesn't add like more time until you stack more. It has more movement, which is like really weird. Anyways, I don't think this is very good. And it's definitely always going to be scrapped, like the rest of these. Shuriken. High A tier item. Easy. One of the best items they added. I love this item. I don't think it's justifiable in us, because it's not useful in like every survivor, but it's good enough to be good on most, so that's why it's top of A tier. It fires a projectile, consistent way to proc bans, does a lot of damage. You don't want on some characters where you already want to do high damage, like Railgunner or Loader, but Loader you can't really proc it unless you use your primary, which is good. But on like Railgunner, you use your M1 to shoot, so you can fuck it up. So it depends, but for the most part, you want this item. For those characters you definitely want to scrap it. Huntress ain't gonna be shooting things with it. You get right. Regenerating scrap. It goes in B tier. It's free scrap. I don't really explain much. An ignition tank, definitely A tier. Pretty powerful item. Makes your gaslings more powerful. Really good with Artificer and Lone Perforator. Burn shit, really cool. Yeah, I don't really explain too much because gaslings are already a good item. This makes it even better. I don't think it's S tier because it kind of relies on it a little bit because you can get it without gaslings and it's just useless to your build. But for those items, it really does pop off. It really does pop off. Let me tell you. Can you be good with an FMP build? It's not good with Molotov though. Don't use it with Molotov. Molotov just sucks in general. It's good with every other fire source though. You get a fire aspect. This shit is like poggers. I can't believe I used that ironically, but yeah. That's it for the green items, boys. Yeah, we're gonna do red items next. We're gonna do the big red items. Wow, really cool. Anyways, see you in part 3, I guess. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.